Greeting, brothers and sisters. Greetings. So we are preparing for this show. We're going to talk about. We've spent a lot of time talking about fake, fraud, and phony leaders. Now we need to talk about fraud operations. Talk about fraud operations, and it's important. It's important because we have to talk about organizations that are responsible for these fraud operations in the Black community. Excuse me, brothers and sisters. So we have to talk about the fraud organizations, right, and fraud operations, right, in the Black community. And how do we know when they're fraud? That's a good question. It's a good question. So today, we got a very interesting show to talk about. Very, very interesting show. And we're going to have the sister to come on. The sister is going to come on to let us know, right? The sister is going to come on to let us know what God has given her. So we'll have the sister coming on here. She's on her way into the space. We call this the studio, right? My office after hours is a studio. After hours. It's office during the hours, but after hours it's the studio. So here the sister is, and we're going to have her to come on and bless us with what God has given her. And brothers and sisters, I already know that we're in for a treat because we've got to, and it's a blessing when you can have people that's actually fighting for what's right. We've got to be steadfast. We talk about it all the time, right? Unmovable, always abounding in the work of God. Isn't that right? You got to be steadfast, unmovable. And start from the top of the hour. We owe the sister great allegiance and attention. She's been away organizing things, catching up with her own schedule and agenda. So now that she's ahead on her schedule and agenda, so she's going to be coming to talk with us. And so I hope the sister's ready because we're ready to hear her. She's been away a while, right, brothers and sisters? She has been away a while. So we're going to get this theme music together, and the sister's going to be sitting before us. You know how we do with the theme music. I don't know if the sister want to talk or not, but you know I talk during the theme music. But the sister's going to bring it in today. She's going to be at the helm. She's going to be at the helm. And we have to do ours. We have to be wise the way we do ours, because when we do ours, brothers and sisters, we have to look at the blue light. While y'all hear that music, we got our own little concoction set up. We got the music playing. She's looking at the blue light to talk to you all, you know. So then, when the music goes off, I'm just gonna click it on down. She can click it on down if she want, and be able to see y'all again. Be able to see you again. So we are thankful and happy to be here today. Aren't you happy, brothers and sisters, to be here? Isn't that right? Let the church say amen. Isn't that right, brothers and sisters? Isn't that what they do in the Baptist churches and Church of God in Christ and all those churches? They say, let the church say amen. Well, brothers and sisters, I'm asking you to say amen today, because there's no better place for us to be. No better place for us to be. Now, you and I, brothers and sisters, you and I have a challenge, because we're running this marathon. We've got a challenge. We got a challenge, a holy challenge, to stand in the place of righteousness. And I know that to be in the place of righteousness is where we are and where we want to be, because there's no other place to be. And it's every day. You got to be living a righteous life every day. It doesn't mean that you're not going to catch hell. You're going to catch it. Doesn't mean that the devil is not going to have a playground inside of your home, your family, your job. He'll try. But the difference between the righteous is that if we'll listen to God, right? If we'll listen to God, we don't have to worry about the devil. if we'll listen to God. So, brothers and sisters, without any further ado, I'm going to switch over to Ham. You're going to see the sister come up because the Ham is being switched over. Now, you know why the theme music plays. She can talk if she wants to. You know, we enjoy that music because it imbues us with power. Brothers and sisters, if you please, the sister's coming to sit in front of us and look at the blue light and talk to you, right? And once the song is done, we'll phase this down so that we'll be able to really hear the words of what the sister has to say. All praises be to Allah. Peace be unto you. Assalamu alaikum. We come in peace. We come in peace. Brothers and sisters, if you please.
Greetings, peace, love, light. I hope that all of you are doing well today. Greetings. All right. And all right, it's good to see you all today. And I'm going to be talking a little bit about mothering. All right. Because I think this is a big part of something that is missing in our communities and a huge part of what our communities are lacking today. And we haven't really valued. We haven't valued our mothers like we need to. I'm not just talking about valuing women or just the fact that they've given birth. You know, I'm talking about our mothers in the community, those women who are feeding our community, who are creating safe spaces, who are nurturing the community. I'm talking about the mothers, the real mothers, the ones that are mothers by their actions, by their deeds, those who are teaching and preparing us for the future, and laboring in love and sacrificing themselves for the community, sacrificing themselves for the greater good. I do appreciate the mothers, and that's something we all need to make sure that we're doing. Make sure we're holding our women in high regard and high esteem, making them feel valued and appreciated. You know, as mothers, we need that. We need your love. We need your appreciation. I think those who are mothering do deserve it, do deserve your appreciation, your respect, and your honor, and your protection. All right. We want to make sure that our mothers have everything that they need to continue mothering. A lot of Black women don't feel supported. Unfortunately, I've done the research. I've talked with Black women, done some surveys, and a lot of our Black mothers don't feel supported. And I'm not just talking about by the fathers. They don't feel supported in general, not by the community or by anyone. You know, so we as a community have to make sure that we are being a support for our mothers. Make sure that when we see children around, that we take on leadership roles. We understand that we're the leaders. Even as a parent, I don't parent as a dictator, but I am their leader, and I do expect them to respect me and follow my rules, because my rules keep them safe, and we have those kind of conversations. So I think that's very important. I just wanted to share that with you all to make sure that we're doing that. And also, I know there's a lot going on in the world and a lot of things to be upset about, even globally, even in your local community, you know, with the economy right now. Excuse me. And even probably in your personal lives. I'm sure there's a lot of things going on. And, you know, I've been sharing the message for you all. You know, it's don't cope. Okay. I know people do a lot of things to try to cope with reality, especially even with just racism. We do a lot of things to try to cope with that. And really, you don't need to cope. What you need to do is really feel what you're feeling and express what you're feeling. You need to talk about how you feel, and express that, especially to those that are around you at the time, those that you can't express it to. Um, because what happens when you start doing things to cope and you start repressing how you feel so that you can get to work, or so that you can, do your daily activities, what you're doing is you're creating a mental health issue for yourself. And that's part of the reason we as a community have so many mental health issues, because we've tolerated so much abuse for so long. And so what you have to do is decide that you're not going to continue to tolerate that abuse, but you're also not going to cope with it, because coping with it is a form of tolerating the mistreatment and injustices that you're facing every day. All right. So we have to begin to actually allow ourselves to feel how we should naturally feel. If you feel angry, you should be angry. And stop thinking that anger is this bad thing, or that feeling sad is this bad thing. It's a natural emotion. It's natural. It's a natural response to things going on in your environment that aren't fair, that are unjust, that need to change. And if you don't allow yourself to feel those emotions and you're continuing to cope, then guess what? You're not creating any change, because that's especially anger. That's what anger is for. Anger is meant to empower you and to endue you with the adrenaline and whatever you need to affect change. Now, what you want to make sure that you're doing is that you're very conscious, okay, of your emotions, and that your emotions are driving you, but that you're listening to your emotions and being with your emotions and still making wise, smart choices. I'm not saying to let your emotions overtake you to where you're being, you don't have any control over yourself. That's not what I'm saying. But you should be able to master yourself and make conscious choices and decisions, and factoring in your emotions. But don't repress how you feel. Repressing it is not the answer. Repression is not the answer. Coping is not the answer. The answer is, what can I do with my anger? What can I do with my anger? What's a healthy expression of this anger right now? Because I want to tear something up. And you make the best choice that you can to do with your anger, because something should be done with it, okay? Something should be done with it. You shouldn't be packing it up in your heart somewhere and now you're having heart problems. That's not the way to do it. You shouldn't be packing it in your subconscious somewhere and now you're having a nervous breakdown. What you should be doing is allowing yourself to feel that anger, feel those emotions, and express them accordingly, however they need to be expressed. And I know I'm kind of a little bit all over the place. I'm not sure exactly what the doctor's supposed to be talking about today, but I'm just sharing a little bit with you of what God has been sharing with me. Because if we know better, then we all can do better together, because we are better together. Absolutely. Absolutely. So just wanted to share with you all not to cope. Don't be afraid of your dark places, those dark, or what people call negative emotions, but emotions are just emotions, whether they feel unpleasant or not. It's a matter of programming. Okay, your mental programming to feel this way. This is why some people can experience pain differently. It's all about how your mind has been conditioned. And unfortunately, we've been conditioned to be slaves. We've been conditioned to be docile. So that being said, we've been conditioned not to affect change, and even in our own lives, not to affect change in society, our communities, or our nation. So we accept a lot of things and we bury a lot of emotions, and we don't like to deal with reality as it is. And that's not healthy. Even when your reality looks bleak and disappointing and frustrating, and it makes you angry or it makes you feel depressed even. It's important that you allow yourselves to see things for what they are and get real with yourself and really feel those emotions. Allow yourself to feel those emotions and express them in a healthy way accordingly, because repressing your emotions is not healthy for you, and it's not going to affect any change in your life. definitely you want to find a way to express those things. And there's many ways to express yourself, many ways. And nobody can really tell you the best way for you. That's something you have to figure out. You sit with somebody, a black counselor or therapist or somebody that can help you do that. Or, hey, or just figure it out. Wing it and figure it out on your own. That's fine too. You can do that too. Of course, it'd be more helpful to get somebody who's an expert in it, or whatever. But definitely, you don't want to be repressing those emotions. And you don't want to be just finding ways to cope. Okay. Because that's what people end up doing when, they're afraid to express themselves, or they've been taught that how they feel is not right. And that's how an abuser will make you feel, like, your emotions are not right. And, how you feel is how you feel. Okay. And your feelings are always valid. Your feelings are always valid. Okay. Your feelings are always valid. Even if it's not based on, um, you know, it may not be the whole seeing everything from a full perspective. They're still your feelings. Okay. And you need to learn how to express your feelings in a healthy way. Okay. No matter what those feelings may be, you need to express them in a healthy way. Stop repressing things so that they're coming out. They're going to come out regardless, one way or the other, whether they destroy your mind or destroy your body or have you destroying your relationships or even material things, destroying material things, whatever it may be, it's going to come out. So you need to learn some healthy ways to express those emotions so that you can do that. And don't be afraid of those dark places. Don't be afraid of visiting those dark memories, those things that have happened to you. Don't be afraid of the darkness in general. The devil is a liar. The darkness is a place of healing. It's a place of restoration. It's a place to be reborn, to transform. And if you're not transforming, you're not being reborn, then you're not living. You don't have life, and we're eternal beings. So you should have eternal life. You don't want to continue to die, because that's what happens when you stop living, you stop growing, you stop transforming and learning and evolving. Then you begin to decay. Your mind begins to decay. Your body begins to decay, and that's not what we want, right? Because we want life. We're for Black life, right? Black life matters, right? All right, then let's get on that. And I'm just gonna drop that nugget. Just gonna drop that nugget right there. Gonna drop that nugget right there. And I want to encourage you all um, to hit the like button on the YouTube so more people can will see the video. All right, because if we know better, we can do better. All right, and you want better for your community, right? Excuse me. You want a better community too, right? We all want to live in a better community, and living in that better community starts with us. Okay, and it also starts with us making sure that other people have the same information that we have. Okay, and the same resources that we have. If we know better, we have to share that so other people can know better and do better as well. Because if we know better, then we can do better. All right, and we are better together. Okay, so make sure you like this video so other people can see it. It'll push it up in search and YouTube and the algorithm and all that good stuff. And make sure you share the video with people that you know can benefit. Okay. And subscribe. Make sure you subscribe so you can get the notifications. Hit the bell so you get notifications whenever Dr. Millere goes live. And we help us reach more people. Because we are better together, right? We're better together. And we don't just want to hoard information, all right? We don't want to hoard information. We don't want to hoard information. We want to share information that is useful and helpful to our people, okay? Because hoarding information is the reason so many of us are enslaved economically. Yes, we are still in economic enslavement, social enslavement, political enslavement. You might be physically free, but we are still slaves in this nation. If you're watching from here in the United States of America Incorporated, then you are still enslaved by that company. And in a lot of ways. And we want to liberate all of our people, okay? Because we can't live on no island, okay? None of us can live on an island. None of us is a bubble. None of us can defeat this enemy on our own. We're gonna have to use all our strength, and all of our strength is all of each other, okay? All of each other. We're all connected, and we need to be on group think as a people, because our enemy is always on group think. All right, and if we're not on group think, then that means we're divided by so many things. Some of us are divided by religion. Some of us are divided by just personal choices and decision. None of that matters, okay? None of that matters. Your feeling doesn't matter. It's time for us to be on groupthink and make conscious choices that are going to create a better community and a better society and a better nation for ourselves. All right. All right. Excuse me. So I also want you all to help me save lives by supporting my book on free birth. I'm changing the subject a little bit. Yes, I am. All right. Infant and maternal mortality, if you don't know what that is, our women and our babies are dying in the hospitals. All right. And so, those rates are high only because Black women and Black babies are dying in the hospitals. And let's just jump right to the chase. It's not because of any stress. It's not because of health or any of that. We're dying in these hospitals because they're killing us, okay? They're targeting Black women when we're most vulnerable and we don't have the support that we need. And that's what's happening. They're harvesting our organs and everything else is a whole conversation, okay? That is a whole conversation that I would be taking over the show because I'll be talking for hours on that. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to drop that right there, okay? But what we need to do, the solution is for our women to be competent birthers, okay? So that they can have the confidence and they're no longer victims when they go into the hospitals if they have to go. Or whenever they're giving birth, wherever they are. Hopefully they're giving birth at home and they are healthy. And I do, and the book is a textbook for a class that I teach, the free birth class. Also, there's a birth worker extension, and you guys can check that out on my website. Okay, you can get the book and check that out, and I'll learn about the infant and maternal mortality rates in your state at www.thebirthguru.org. I'm going to drop it in the chat. All right. And I'm going to have Dr. Minister, Brother Minister, put it in his description. All right. And you guys can have that website and be able to click it there. And without being distracted from watching the rest of the video, thebirthguru.org, or open it in a separate window. All right. So you can check that out, learn more about the infant maternal mortality rates, learn about what you can do in your state, okay, and the rates in your state, and be able to support my book on free birth. If you're not giving birth, get a book for somebody else, okay? Just get a book for somebody else that is giving birth, all right? It's great for birth workers as well. Anybody who wants to learn about free birth or have the information so that they can birth competently. Now, it is a textbook, and of course, the class is better. You get some one-on-one time with me and be able to answer some direct questions. Most importantly, what's in that book is, how to handle different emergency type of situations and pretty much how to prevent any type of deaths, okay? Absolutely. All right. So definitely want to get that. Definitely want to share that information. All right. And take that class if you're able to take the class. And I have a birth worker extension for those of you who are birth workers so that you can support these women while they're being empowered, not victims. Okay. And operating in ignorance. All right. Because knowledge is power. Absolutely. All right. And speaking of classes, our enrollment for our virtual homeschool co-op is open. That's interdependent Black families. All right, it's a virtual homeschool co-op. It's very important that we homeschool our children. It's very important for we homeschool our children to ensure that they are being taught the right information. Okay, not lies, but the right information, and they're not being left behind. They're not being mistreated, and to make sure that they're safe, because even white people know now that public schools are not safe. Okay, so we want to make sure that our children are foremost safe. Okay, and I understand homeschooling can be a challenge. So it provides virtual homeschool co-op does provide support. And all families with black children are welcome to join us, and it's free. You just have to teach a class. All right. And you can find that on the website, thebirthguru.org as well. That's on that website, my nonprofit's website. And you can just click at the top where it says IBF Virtual Homeschool Co-op, something like that. All right, and it's a great support for parents, especially those who are homeschooling. And I know income, having to go to work and things like that can be a challenge. Excuse me, for homeschooling, employment may be a challenge. So just so you know, I am hiring people to work from home as well. So there you go. Yeah, I'm dropping solutions. I come with solutions. That's what I do. I come with solutions to be proactive and to fight offensively. Okay. We don't want to be reacting to everything because we are putting ourselves in situations. Okay. So let's be proactive and make sure we're avoiding situations where we're allowing ourselves to be vulnerable to our enemies' attacks. Okay. It's that simple. So I am hiring people to work from home. You can work from home, do customer service or sales. All right. It's tax-free income. You get paid bi-weekly. All right. After you get certified. And all you need to do is email me your resume. Okay. Make sure you send a cover letter. Let me know who you are and why you applied. All right. And I'm going to drop my email here. This is here. You can send it to that email. It's fine. Just let me know what you're sending the resume for. Excuse me, because we do have several businesses and I don't want to be confused. All right. Now those who have children, I'm sorry. This is great for those who have children. Sometimes I work from home as well, take calls. The children can be in another room somewhere, and you can be in your own quiet space and have noise canceling headsets and take your calls and make you some quick money. All right, some easy money there. Now, those who don't have children, we appreciate your support as well for our homeschool co-op. All right, and the children do have candy bars that they are using to help raise support for the co-op so they can get devices and whatever programs that they need to help enhance the learning environment for our virtual homeschool co-op. So if you want to support that, at that website, I already dropped the link there in the chat. You can go there and donate and get a candy bar. We ask for a minimum donation of $5 for each candy bar. All right, for the co-op. And that's all I got. So I'm going to let Brother Minister come on back here and talk about what he has set up to talk about today and move on out of y'all's way. Absolutely. I think I've given what I have to give. And I do hope that it was appreciated. I appreciate you all watching today. And if you want to learn more about me and my services or products, you can go to goddessnotnew.com or just type Goddess Not New on YouTube. After you finish listening to Brother Minister, and make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this video. You can by all means just type Goddess Not New in the search bar there on YouTube, and I will come up, and you are more than welcome to subscribe to my page as well, especially the ladies out there, to receive whatever encouragement you might need. All right. And thank you all for watching. I'm going to move on out of the way. And let's see here. And Brother Minister is coming back now. So thank you all for listening.
Brothers and sisters, did our heart not burn within us when the sister came before us to give us that knowledge? We're happy to have her to come before us. Isn't that right, brothers and sisters? And this battle that we're in, know the sister told you about this battle. This battle that we in with the white man, we can't afford to let our guards down. We can't afford to do it. We let our guards down and keep going to the hospitals, right? The hospitals belong to the white man. We can't keep going to the hospitals and going to all these other places, right? And expecting the white man to stop battle when we're going to his stations. While he's in business to do battle at his station. Remember, you and I were brought here as slaves, so the white man has no intention at all, being at peace with us. He don't have that intention to be at peace with us. He has the intention to be at war with us. He's not going to be at peace with us, right? He brought us here, right, to raise his crop, right, to till and plow his land, right, and to produce from it, right? And you sell products in the store from what you produce from the white man, from his business. So he know what he's doing. I just wonder if you know what you're doing right now. That's my question, brothers and sisters. Excuse me. My question is, do you understand what you're doing right now? Do you understand what you're up against? That's my question. That's all I want to know, because we're up against something, you know, and that's what I say about black organizations. We can't be attacking one another. Now, I'm talking about the real organizations. I'm not talking about the fakes, because you got a lot of fake black nationalist leaders out there, right? And we have to go to the top. You know I'm going to say it. You already know I'm going to say it. We got to go to the top. Louis Farrakhan is at the very top. Wallace Wardeen Muhammad is dead, right? The NAACP is right up there with Farrakhan. Yeah, the NAACP is right up there with him, right? All of these fake organizations, right? Malik Zulu Shabazz under them, right? False black nationalism, where they'll attack black people. I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, they'll attack black people when the white man is out there killing us, and they won't rally with me to try to get rid of the white man. Won't do it. They'll attack black people. We can't fight self-defense, right? On a level playing field. Can't do it. Can't work for the white man and expect the white man to have mercy on you. Can't do it. So you and I have to be wise, right? We got to be steadfast, and we got to be unmovable. This storm that we're going through, this economic storm, is one of the most difficult storms that we face as black people. Why? Because we're getting no real benefits from the government. That's the first part of it. And also, we don't have sustainability in our black communities with stores, for instance. Our own stores, our own gas stations. Somebody talk to me. Our own car lots. We need car lots. We got to. Some of us are owning homes, but we're not owning them, right, to provide a service for the black community. And we're overcharging the black community. Isn't that right? And then those of us that are renting the homes won't take care of it. Isn't that right? We're busy attacking one another. And let me just set the record straight. If you're black and you're dealing with a black businessman, it should be mutual respect from that black businessman or businesswoman to you. It should be mutual respect. If he owns a store, then you should understand, as well as he understands, that you need each other. You're going to have in each other's mind, each other's heart, the capability, right, which you have it, and the comfortability to spend money in that brother's store. And God is fixing it, brothers and sisters, so you ain't got no choice. Now, let me say this. In the white man's store, when he's selling products in his store, if he raise the prices, you're going to buy them. Isn't that right, brothers and sisters? You go to Walmart today, right, and Whole Foods, right? If you go there, now there's some black stores, grocery stores, that you can go to, right? They have to raise their prices, but at least it's with thoughtfulness. Isn't that right? So if the white man is raising his price in Walmart and Whole Foods, then the black man that owns the grocery store going to have to raise his prices because the inflation is of such nature, right? Right. Now, how did we end up in the situation where we have literally dwindled down the stores? I thought that Farrakhan, come on, talk to me, somebody, had this march on Washington. Is that right or wrong? And when he had this march on Washington, I thought, right? He had this march on Washington. I thought that he was marching to advance black people to pull their money, pull their resources, right? And create that black community, right? That government within a government. Isn't that right? Isn't that right? That we would have independence, right? So that was the March on Washington. Where did this come from? The idea of the March on Washington initially came from A. Philip Randolph. That's where the original march, right? The initial March on Washington, the idea came from A. Philip Randolph. Let's talk about it, brothers and sisters, because this is something that we have to discuss. We got to discuss it. We won't get anywhere if we don't understand what's going on and understand that this is a repeat and to understand who's in charge of it. Isn't that right? Got to understand it. Because if we don't understand it, you know it, we're finished if we don't understand it. Now, let's talk about A. Philip Randolph. He was an amazing, brothers and sisters. He was an amazing organizer. An amazing organizer. All right? He was American labor unionist, right? Talk about him a little bit. He was a civil rights activist, right? Right? He bridged the gap between black nationalism, right, and black liberalism. He bridged the gap because the one on the one hand is conservative, and that was a cost to that. That was a cost to him bridging that gap. So we want to study and talk about this. Now, in 1925, he organized and led the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters, right? The Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters. And this created labor for a black taxi cab. All right? And we're going to talk about this, brother, because it's a lot to learn. The brother did a whole lot. He was crossed by Adam Clayton Powell, who sought to, in so many instances, take his ideas and aggressively enforce it. We're going to talk about that. So this American unionist, this is what he was. He led the labor union, the African American labor union. They keep saying American. You know, these devils, man, they want to get past this racial thing by rewriting history, and they're rewriting it before our eyes. Literally rewriting it. Literally rewriting it before our eyes. But anyway, okay. So this brother was born, was April the 15th, right? 1889. When he passed in May. You know, there's something to this. There's something to this. I keep telling you, the month of May. There's something to the month of May. We're going to figure it out. They call it the month of gods. The month of gods. There's something about this month of May. Now, he was born on April 15, 1889. Died May 16, 1979. He was an American labor unionist, right? He was a civil rights worker and leader. In 1925, he organized the cars. He organized the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters, the first successful African-American led labor union. Okay, in the early civil rights movement and labor movement, Randolph was like, his voice was almost like Martin Luther King. Almost. He was a precursor to what King would be doing. He agitated unfair labor practices. He agitated the owners of businesses with unfair labor practices. In other words, we'll work for you, but we want the same rights that the rest of them are getting. So what did this attention do? Right now, you have to know that there were white liberalists that was feeding A. Philip Randolph money. You got to know that. Now, we talked about these marches. We got to explain what the marches are before we can explain what the farces are. So in these marches, the very first organized march was powerful in its initiation. But Franklin Delano Roosevelt got to it. Now, you talking about the civil rights movement and the labor movement, right? Isn't that what Dr. King was trying to do? He was trying to get fair job practices. He was trying to make sure that we could, through transportation, we could stop in and eat, right? Use the restroom in safe areas, right? And I don't know if I don't know what he was thinking about because, I love Dr. King, but ain't nothing safe about black people being around white people. It's not safe. It's not safe. So I don't know exactly which way he was going with that. I think it was a big mistake. Integration was a big mistake because it's left us vulnerable. It has left us very vulnerable. But in the area of A. Philip Randolph, he wanted a more civilized form of segregation. This is what he wanted. What they did was the government hijacked his movement. The government hijacked his movement because they saw that he was going to be successful. In other words, he had already shown that he didn't need the government. So what happened? His continuous agitation with the support of the fellow labor rights activists against the racist, unfair labor practices, right, got the attention of Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Who is Franklin Delano Roosevelt, brothers and sisters? The President of the United States, right? Let's talk about Roosevelt. And then we're going to go to Executive Order 8802. But first of all, we need to talk about Roosevelt to understand who the man was. We got to understand this. Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Who was this man? He was the 32nd president of the United States, right? He was, I'm drawing a blank here. He was born, brothers and sisters, January the 30th, 1882. He died April the 12th, 1945. He was often referred to by his initials, FDR. Just like John F. Kennedy is JFK, Robert F. Kennedy is RFK. They would do that. To popular presidents. He was very popular. He was an American politician and attorney who served as 32nd president of the United States. We already know that. Did you know he was elected 4 times to office? The only president that we have, I believe, or the last, because I think they had another one that was voted in office. Yeah, but Franklin Delano Roosevelt actually succeeded in all 4 elections. He served from 1933 to 1945, and he died in office. Okay, he died in office. He had polio, was a debilitation to him. As a member of the Democratic Party, he won a record 4-term election for president. We already know that. Became a central figure in the world and the events during the 20th century. They call it the Roaring 20s. The Roaring 20s. So, brothers and sisters, here's a political animal that knows the game. Roosevelt, listen to this. Roosevelt directed, this is something I want you to know. Roosevelt directed the federal government during the most trying times of the Great Depression. So basically the same thing that we're dealing with now. The very same thing that we're dealing with now. Roosevelt, he took charge of it. He implemented his domestic plan called the New Deal. All right. And this agenda in response to the worst economic crisis in U.S. history. And that's debatable now because what we're in now may capitalize that as the worst economic crisis crisis in U.S. history, what we're dealing with right now, because this will be described as the second Dust Bowl Depression. You'll see it in future history. We'll all read about it. As a dominant leader of his party, he built the New Deal coalition. Now we're going to talk about that. What was the New Deal? Let's talk about it. The New Deal. Understand what that is. The New Deal was programs of public works, financial reform, regulations enacted by Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Roosevelt in the United States between 1933 and 1939, right? He controlled these regulations, financial reforms, public work projects, and he made them work while he was in office. Now, it's a major federal program that included Civilian Conservation Corps, right? And the Civil Works, right? The Civil Works Corps. Now, I want you to understand that he had total autonomy. This is before blacks changed over to the Democratic Party. Roosevelt had an amazing amount of power as a liberal. All right? So what was the New Deal coalition? We talk about the New Deal. The New Deal coalition was an American political coalition, listen to this, that supported the Democratic Party beginning in 1932. Roosevelt died in 1933, so he has to tweak this plan. This coalition is named after Franklin Delano Roosevelt's New Deal program and was composed of, voting blocs who supported Roosevelt's response to the Great Depression. Now, we see that he not only wanted power, but appreciated power after he's gone from office, which makes him a major figure, according to the Democratic Party. It makes him a major figure. So keep that in mind. Now, let me say this. Roosevelt, talking about A. Philip Randolph, issued the order called Executive Order 8802. Now, let me say this. There's never been a white man in history, with the exception of John Brown, that has truly fought through conviction to make sure that he saved America. He did it, and he'll tell you, because I think that it would destroy America. If they don't free the slaves, it will destroy America. The concern has always been the organization within America. However religious the movement, John Brown told you, right? We have the book. It's called Blackheart. He told you not to trust. Do not trust any white man. I'm just saying that. And I know I have to repeat that 100 times because there are brothers and sisters today that still believe that there's some exception to the rule. Now listen, the Fair Employment Practice in Defense Industries is Executive Order 8802. Again, let me read this. It is a fair employment practice in defense industry. Executive Order 8802 was passed June the 25th, 1941. Listen, it was signed by President Roosevelt. It's supposed to prohibit. Listen to this. Listen. It's supposed to prohibit ethnic or racial discrimination in the nation's defense industry. So supposed to. It was also set up, right? Fair employment practices, right? And the Fair Employment Practice Committee, right? So it was the first federal action to ensure, I guess I will say ensure, first federal action to ensure that discrimination didn't happen in the federal government. And on the federal government, that means in the military, civilians working for the military, and everything attached to it, right? He ensured that black people could be hired, and right? That's what the law said. That's what the law said. He ensured that we could be hired. But you and I both know that it didn't hold water, right? We already know that it didn't hold water. So this Executive Order 8802 didn't come about in the 60s. It had already been passed in June the 25th of 1941. Roosevelt died in 1933. Isn't that right? April the 16th, I believe it was, 1933. Right? Hold on, wait a minute. Let me make sure. Let me think about that. That's correct. He dies in January. No, it's April. It's April. April the. No, it isn't. He doesn't die in April. He dies in May 16th. No. I was correct. Brothers and sisters, when you're studying hard and putting all this stuff in your head, it could trip you up sometime. But I was correct. He dies in April. He dies in April 16th. It's April the 12th. Excuse me. April the 12th, 1945. April the 12th. Franklin Delano Roosevelt dies April the 12th, 1945. Now, he runs political office as president 1933 to his death in 1945. Right? So he served 4 terms as president, and after him, no one else is able to do it. They made sure that they stopped him from doing that. We have to get these dates together. It's like that when you study it. Now, you've seen to help A. Philip Randolph, who is organizing this first march on Washington. He's organizing the very first march on Washington. And Franklin Delano Roosevelt sees this history of him, right? J. Edgar Hoover is talking about this history. So they're like, man, what can we do? We got to get in front of this. So what they do is they issue this Executive Order 8802. And in 1941, right, banning discrimination in defense industries during World War II. Listen, during World War II. Then this group that A. Philip Randolph had continued to maximize pressure. So Randolph sort of knew he had something going. So they maintained this pressure so that Truman, right, a Republican, right, they maintained the pressure so that Truman was a Democrat, I'm sorry, because Franklin Delano Roosevelt is also a Democrat. They maintained the pressure so that Truman, right, who's after Roosevelt, he's the 33rd president, Truman, proposed this new Civil Rights Act. Listen to what I'm saying. In 1945, I want you to really, really pay attention to this. In 1945, right, Harry Truman proposed this new Civil Rights Act and issued the Executive Orders 9980. Okay? And 9981 in 1948 to promote fair employment and anti-discrimination policies in the government. I want you to understand that. Was hiring and ending racial segregation in armed forces. Right? I ask you again, if America was already free, and the black man was already free, why did they have to create these laws? You'll find that they've been passing laws since the time of Abraham Lincoln, right? Who signed the Emancipation in 1865, June the 19th, right? June the 19th, 1865, Juneteenth. And you still see that we're not free because they're steady I mean, my God, you come out of chains, brothers and sisters, in 1865. That's what they say. That's what they say, right? You come out of chains in that time. Really, you didn't get, even though the Emancipation was passed June the 19th, 1865, it's not until August, right? The 30th, called the August meeting, that the slaves got together because the whites on the plantation still wouldn't free them. They got together and started killing slave masters. And then we got freedom almost overnight, right? Literal, practical freedom, because we were running all these plantations, killing that man. They didn't have the federal government to bag them up on it because they saw this slavery thing had run its course. And so in the result of it, right, the result of it is that you and I, had to start joining the military. So you find out that there's nothing that they were doing for us, but we were used as a political football. As a result of that, they were supposed to reward us. President Lincoln, right, which we're going to talk about him a little later, here in a minute. But President Lincoln is where all of this jive start, right? Right? Whatever we can do to cool the minds of the black man, right, and make them think that you got a white man on your side. Right? So if you got a white man on your side, then he have to have some old coon to push it down. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Now, I know it don't sound good. I understand it don't sound good, but this is where it's at. This is where it's at, brothers and sisters. No, it don't sound good. But I'm trying to tell you the truth so you won't be hoodwinked, so you won't be bamboozled, so you won't be led astray, so you won't be run amok. Now, listen. Listen to this. I want you to understand that there's never been a white man attached to you, and there's never been a black man in front of you that the white man didn't set up to be there. You got to understand that. Peace be unto you. We even say peace unto Sister Tracy Byrne. You're still our sister. No matter how misguided you are our sister. We say peace unto our brother Bruce Corinne. We say peace. But we have to understand that this deal that was put in place by Franklin Delano Roosevelt was an executive order. It's something that he passed as a president. As a president, he could issue it. But he issued something that wasn't worth the paper it was written on. The Emancipation was an executive order written by President Abraham Lincoln. But the paper was worthless. The order wasn't worth the paper that it was written on. You have to understand that. So if it's an executive order and a new administration come in, that order dies. Right? So Franklin Delano Roosevelt passed Executive Order 8802. Right? Banning discrimination in the defense industries during World War II. Right? The group that A. Philip Randolph had organized didn't need an executive order. All he had to do was do chaos. But he believed in civil rights, so he was feeding the very machinery, right, that he's supposed to be standing up against. Now, he felt that he had a friend. He wasn't like Adam Clayton Powell. Adam Clayton Powell knew the white man wasn't his friend. And he was constantly harassing, right, white people in the White House as often as he could. He knew the white man was not his friend. You know, and it's reality. You may talk to some or whatever. You may. Some may be nice, even spread time. But you have to understand what brought you in this country and why you are here. You got to understand the games, brothers and sisters. You must understand the games. Your life literally depends on it. And that's why I take time to do this. So this is the Executive Order 8802 created by Franklin Delano Roosevelt in 1941. Then Harry S. Truman proposed a new Civil Rights Act. Isn't that right? And issued Executive Order 1980 and 1981 and 1948 promoting fair employment, anti-discrimination policies in the federal government, hiring, and ending racial segregation in the armed forces. They have to stop this at a federal level, right? Same way Lincoln did. He stopped slavery at a federal level. But the states that weren't willing to get rid of slavery went to war with him, and this is where the Civil War came about, right? In 1812, right? Not 1812, but the Civil War came about and extended in 1865, which we're gonna talk, because the law was passed, right, by Lincoln. The law had already been passed, right? Prior to that, there were other laws that were created to sort of downsize slavery. And they had to create these laws, brothers and sisters, because, and it goes pretty much like this, that if they didn't create the laws, then they couldn't move on it. They had to have some reason to move on the laws. They had to have some reason. If they didn't pass it, they wouldn't have any agenda to move on. They saw that slavery is coming to an end. They see the segregation is not going to work. And so they have to create laws first, right? And use the people to stand behind these laws. And even if the White House don't pass the laws, right, then certain liberal organizations, through pretentious actions or otherwise, will play to, right, any tune to show that the document itself, right, is able to enforce these laws, right? Isn't that right? So, and I hope I'm being plain. Hope you understand what I'm saying. That the important is whatever is going to keep the nation going, right, is what they'll do. Abraham Lincoln said what? He said, if I can make it half slave, half free, I'll do that. If I can make it all slave, I'll do that. If I can make it all free, I'll do that. Whatever to save the Union. Right? So he already told us that I don't care what changes you make, you still in America, you own this corporation, which is a plantation, or whatever's good for it, right? I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. If it's good to keep black folks in slavery, oppressed, I'm going to do that. Now you see the reason why we oppressed, because it's better for America to keep us oppressed. And here's the thing, they ain't going to give us money. They won't even pay us for reparations. We've been fighting for years. Most Honorable Silas Muhammad is still fighting for reparations, right? Shouldn't Farrakhan have been fighting for reparations instead of marching between the feet of two dead men, a dead man named Lincoln and a dead man named Washington? Shouldn't Farrakhan, shouldn't he have been fighting, brothers and sisters, for reparations? If you're going to march, should you march for something? We still don't know what he marched for. That's all I'm saying. We don't even know why the man marched. We have no idea. There's a reason. There's a reason. The reason that we don't know what it stands for, right, is that he is useful for whatever the American government says useful for. Other coons, other sellouts, other black nicks, other black chocolate crackers, right? Whatever you want to call it. Their agenda is whatever America's agenda is, right? And that document, they tell you that the document is so flexible. It can be bent and twisted whichever way to suit whoever purpose. Proof of which, the LGBT have more civil rights gains than black people, right? And they've only been in existence as a group for, 30 years? And you and I have been in existence as slaves over 400 years. Isn't that right? 464 years. And we still don't have rights. What does that mean? Because they have no intentions of freeing you and I. President Truman had to pass another executive order, right, to strengthen the first executive order that was sent out by Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Frank Roosevelt's order, he banned discrimination in defense industries during World War II. In defense industries during World War II, right, to get it started. He just wanted to light the wick, right? And then Truman come behind him and proposed a new Civil Rights Act and issued Executive Order 9980 and 9981. He did that in 1948 to promote fair employment and anti-discrimination practices. Isn't that right, brothers and sisters? In the federal government hiring, right? Federal government's hiring practices and trying to end racial segregation in the armed service. Well, what's the difference in his order and Franklin Delano Roosevelt order, there's no difference. It's just a political football, 2 executive orders, right? One to begin this bill against discrimination, and the other to solidify it. But at the same time, we see that in the federal government, they were still discriminating. Proof of which, we was having marches getting killed every day. Even black military men were getting killed in the military, out of the military, and when they were in Germany, marrying these white women, their soul brother was misguided. They even there, they had a better chance of having a decent life than coming to America, because you know they couldn't come to America and marry no German woman, right? Couldn't do it. But they were all over the country where there was a military base and a brotherhood, right? For the federal government and civilian organizations that were black or white, right? They would use this and parade to the other countries that, hey, our black people are free. See, we let them marry white women, right? And this whole charade was going around, right? So now they began to attach freedom with white people and white women. It's the reason why, look at the LGBT. White lesbians started that whole movement. Isn't that right? White lesbians started the whole movement. So in light of it, now they have more rights than us, right? So the civil rights movement was really to give white women power, and it was hijacked by the sexual revolution, right? Because it's the white woman in her ill practices that set the standard, right, through the LGBT and the liberation movement, right, of white women. Because we're talking about black women are oppressed. They're not liberated. They're oppressed along with the black man, but they use them as a symbol because they know that, unlike themselves who are hypocritical, saying that they're under oppression, that black women are literally under oppression and black men are literally under oppression. But remember, the whole point of it is to get the black man out the way. So in these executive orders, right, these hiring practices, they sought to establish the black family. And this is where they began to hire more black women than they would white men. If you look, than they would black men. If you look, Vivian Johnson, right? There was a movie called Hidden Figures to commemorate her. Barack Obama gave her the federal medal, right? Vivian Johnson was a black woman that created and perfected the algorithm or formula, right, through aeronautics, which means perpetual air movement, to get a spaceship, right, to launch a spaceship or space rocket from Earth into the atmosphere and for it to come back down, right? So she were able to project this missile in space, the exosphere, the last level of gravitational force or pull, and then through rocket power bring that machinery back down to Earth. She did that. Now, while they had black people work for the federal government, they still gonna use white restrooms. They still had their own facilities. They had to use their own. They had their own office space they had to be in. They couldn't be mixed with whites. So, and that's after the law was passed. So what I'm trying to get you to see is nothing has really changed, right? Because whatever the federal government controls, right, they can manipulate. Is that right or wrong? If they wanted us to be free, they could have freed us a long time ago. We wouldn't be going through all of this. As a matter of fact, they're not going to free us because they know if they truly free us, we got to have our own land, right? We got to have our own army. We got to have our own banks and all of that. But if you take us out of the white man's system, then it'll fail, right? And so that's very, very, very important for you to know. Now, and this is very, very important. Now, our brother has let us know that Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Brother Kareem, we thank God for him, has let us know that Franklin Roosevelt passed an executive order in 1942 to have the Honorable Elijah Muhammad incarcerated. That is true. That is true. And we're definitely going to get to that. Since he's talking about it, let's talk about it now. They didn't want any subversive movement. And you can understand that this would seem subversive. You can understand that. Why? A. Philip Randolph and his movement applied pressure through civil rights, right? The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad provided pressure through black nationalism. These are totally different strategic political movements. Black nationalism said, look, I don't need your help. So Muhammad was more of a threat. Why? Because had not A. Philip Randolph received quick response from the federal government, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, President of the United States, then he himself would have eventually slipped into black nationalism. After all, when you see Randolph in the 60s, he become more interested in Minister Malcolm X, if you do the research on it. He dies in 1970, I think it is. He dies in May 16th, 1979. A. Philip Randolph dies at 90 years of age. So he lived a long time. He understood the political machine. In 1963, which is the same year that Dr. King would deliver I Have a Dream speech. A. Philip Randolph heads, what does he head, brothers and sisters? He had the March on Washington, right? So look, in 1963, I'm going to repeat this again. Because you know the idea is not new, because the first time they had the idea was in 1933. First time they have this idea. First time they have it. So now you know 1963, right? 30 years later, Randolph was the head of the March on Washington, which was organized by Baird Rustin. Two people working for the federal government. Two black men working for the federal government, right? Asa Philip Randolph and Baird Rustin working for the federal government, right? The March on Washington, right? They used, first one they talk about 1963 for this March on Washington, right? The March on Washington for what? Jobs, right? And freedom. Here they are 30 years later talking about the same thing. See, I'm about to get to it. That's why I'm telling you. There's a track record and algorithm to these coons, sellouts, black necks, black chocolate covered crackers, turncoats that are hoodwinking you. You know I'm going to say it. Bamboozle you, run you astray, run you amok, tuck and tied and told, drug and harm, right? Will the white man put these antiquated, right, old-fashioned, good old boy Yassa masters right there in front of you, brothers and sisters. Right in front of you. And so this March on Washington for jobs, for freedom, was known as the March on Washington or the Great March. Right? You know where it started from. That's why I told you. You know where it started from. So it was held in August 28, 1963, right? Dr. King was the keynote speaker for this, right? Economic rights for African Americans. Isn't that right? Economic right. It was held at the Lincoln Memorial. We talked about Lincoln. What Lincoln Memorial? President Abraham Lincoln, who passed the emancipation through an executive order that didn't affect me nor you in any positive way. You make us free, but you don't give us any money. You don't give us any land. You don't give us the money you owe us through slavery. We don't get any reparations. It's a political game, just a trick to soften you and I, just a trick. And you'll see that the white man has been using these tricks the entire time, brothers and sisters. That's why they're called tricksters. Wasn't Jacob a trickster? right? Yakub was a trickster. So you're dealing with the children of a trickster, right? And the children of Cain, right? These Moabites is going to lie to you and mislead you, brothers and sisters. While you're still in Babylon, they took the chains off. Isn't that right? They took carpet and put it on the rock walls, right? They paved the street with gold, right? Gold you can't even get. You can't even pick the gold up and sell it. You got opportunities all around you. You live in a land of plenty, right? But you have the least prosperity. You have the least financial ability, right? In this land of plenty, because the land wasn't created for you. The land was created for you to work. It wasn't created for you to benefit from. And you have to understand that. So at this march, the keynote speaker, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., right? Whether he knew it or not, they had him out front using him, right, to keep us quiet, to keep us in church. You don't hear me. To keep us in church, to keep us in a religious mind. And here this man walking around beating us, killing us, shooting us, doing everything he can do to us. And then he'll bring King in front of you. The same Dr. King that he killed, isn't that right? Smothered him on the table. The doctor that was supposed to be doing the surgery to remove the bullets that had been shot in Dr. King's body was the one that smothered Dr. King. He wasn't even dead when they got him to the hospital. This is the truth, brothers and sisters. I'm giving you the truth, right? This speech that Dr. King did in April the 28th, 1963 was supposed to be speech of speeches and supposed to cancel out racial segregation. Well, how the hell are you going to cancel out racial segregation when you ain't got no power? Black man ain't got no power. He never had any power. He had influence. And you need influence to go to war. But he misused it, right? And the white man knew what could have happened, so he get in front of it. Every time he got a major movement, the white man would get in front of it and derail it. He'll get in front of it. And you and I are getting closer, brothers and sisters. We're getting closer to fighting that battle, that war that our grandparents, our forefathers have warned us about. Now here we are, 58 years later, right? And we done had 2 marches on Washington. We've had numerous demonstrations on Washington, including the Poor People's Campaign, where they camped out in cardboard boxes, right? To make them do something for poverty. Brothers and sisters, we're still in the same situation, right? Because you and I will never, look, we on a plantation working the man's job. We're making him money and labor and wages and everything else, right? The man is in charge. Do you honestly think that he's going to give you power? I mean, hell, if I was in charge, I want to keep power. Right, brothers and sisters? Wouldn't you want to keep power if you was in charge? Peace, Sister Donna. Glad to have you with us. Wouldn't you want to keep power if you was in charge? That's common sense. Common sense. And you miss it when you look at the white man and you expect him to be like you. You miss it. The white man is not like you. The white man will never be like you. The white man has privileges. White privilege, right, in this white racist organization called the Plantation of America, right? Plantation Corporation. Look at this march on Washington, because we're going to get on down to Farrakhan, and I'm going to explain to you why it was such a jive movement, right? Same movement, same movement, same organization paying the same coon, right? Just a different coon of our day, right? But it ain't no different from no other coon, right? Same thing going on. Now look, at this march, they estimated some 300,000 to 400,000 people in this march. They didn't even want to tell how many black people were there. Many analysts say that there were up to 1 million or 2 million black people. Listen to that. The Million Man's March. Come on, brothers and sisters. So they estimated the number of the marchers varied. They wouldn't even be honest about the amount of marchers that they have there. Also, the march was one of the biggest political rallies. That's all it was. Right? For human rights. Not civil rights. Listen to what I'm saying. For human rights, you had, what's this devil's name? Walter Reuther. Anybody know about Walter Reuther? This Walter Philip Reuther was a tycoon, business tycoon, the leader of the organized labor and civil rights activists what did he organize? He organized the United Automobile Workers, right? Into a what? Progressive labor union, right? So listen now. He saw the movement as a potentiality, right, for interest groups. He didn't see it as narrow, like, black people, when they talk about civil rights, they can only think about Martin Luther King. They're not thinking ahead of Dr. King. When you think of civil rights, you got to think of Sojourner of Truth. When you think of civil rights, you got to think of that sellout. What's that sellout? The one that Umar Johnson be trying to act like. What's his name? You know what I'm talking about. The black guy, the Frederick Douglass. A known coon and sellout, Frederick Douglass even married a white devil toward the end of his life. That tells you that he was a coon. Now, they say that he escaped from freedom, escaped from slavery and went to freedom. That's what they say. They put, this man belonged on somebody's plantation. He happens to get away as a child. He produced this paper called the North Star. Okay, listen. That's what the white man says. If you want to buy it, that's fine. But there are many different stories to that. And there are many debates to that. Now, Umar Johnson, right, mimics this guy, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Frederick Douglass, right? Umar Johnson mimics Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass married a white woman. He was a coon that married a white woman, right? At the end of his life. Listen what I'm saying. Jesus. Brothers and sisters, listen to me. That's one of the signs. They go to defending these white people and marry them. That's one of the signs. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm not saying you can have an intelligent conversation about slavery and what white folks have done to us. That's the only thing that you should be talking about with somebody white. Anything else is shallow, right? Anything else is just a political rally. Politics. You should be telling the truth about what they've done to us. There's no other conversation you can have. There's no other conversation. The white man is as different from the black man as the East is from the West, as the North is from the South, as cold is from hot, the moon to the sun. Understand that. There is no comparison that could be closer to any unity between the white man and the black man. I'm just telling you. Now, Umar Johnson, the same one that you saw the pictures that was put up, right? Where he's with these white women in these white women's faces. He's always ridiculing black women. Always. Let me tell you something else. When Harriet Tubman was fighting for civil rights, right, and getting black people off the plantation, which she advanced as human rights, Frederick Douglass was against her. Frederick Douglass was against the Harper Ferry Revolutionary Act, which Harriet Tubman supported. He was against Harriet Tubman going on the plantations, freeing blacks, because he wanted to do it through a federal act. He respected her because she did something that he wasn't willing to do. He wasn't going to put himself in harm's way for other black people. Listen to what I'm telling you. He wasn't going to put himself in harm's way for other black people. Right? That's what defines a humanist, a human rights leader, or a civil rights leader, right? In the light that they will use themselves as a symbol of freedom. They don't believe in martyrdom, but they know they have to stand, right? And that this stand may, in fact, take their life. Frederick Douglass don't have a history of that. He going around the country on this litany, and the government pays him to go around the country on this litany, talking against slavery, because they know that's all he's going to do. And if he comes around to speak to black people that are really in trouble, really feeling the bite of racism, that he can keep them cool, right? He stops them from getting hot and keep them cool. And while they're doing that, you know what I told you about that black coffee? They sprinkle a few whites among you and then a few sugar. See, it said black coffee, no sugar, no cream, right? Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. But you get these yassa boys, yassa mans, and drop them in there. That's the sugar, right? And then they get the cream. The cream is what cools the coffee off, turn into a mochaccino. It ceases to be coffee. Coffee will wake you up, have you strong, ready, alert, right? But that cream will put you to sleep, right? That sugar will put you to sleep. And brothers and sisters, that's what they've been doing to us. So from the time that they first put the first black people in front of us, they put them out, right? Somebody for us to look at, right? The same organization was giving them money to go around to keep me and you in line, right? So we done went all the way from Abraham Lincoln, right? The emancipation, this awesome movement they had on Washington Den. We came to Frederick Douglass. He was no stranger to the White House, right? The white man grabbed him and said, yeah, he'll be good. We'll use him to keep the niggas in check. Every time they brought a black man in front of you, we'll keep him there. We're going to keep him in check. They got the A. Philip Randolph. It's no different. We got a black man to keep black people in check, right? Right? Madam C.J. Walker, right? We got a black woman, right? To teach black women how to hate themselves. They're going to straighten their hair, right? Right? They're going to get a chance to bleach their skin, right? All that comes to her, right? And she'll keep black men and black women in check, right? Because it's not long after that the black men start straightening their hair, right? So you have to see the big picture. All of it was to keep you in line, to keep you in line, keep you out your power base, right? A political rally, that's all it is. Civil rights is a political rally for the white man used to keep you down, because you don't have civil rights if you're not a citizen. You're not a citizen, you are amended. Slavery was amended, right? You got the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment, right, for black people, right? To one was abolish slavery. All this supposed to come up from under emancipation, right? The next one was to count the black man as a citizen, right? And then he's supposed to have voting rights. Isn't that right? Isn't that right? And I'm speaking of it on the surface, but the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment did nothing for you. These were amendments. They're not laws. They're not laws. They're amendments, brothers and sisters. Or if I could only put it out to you the way that I know it. And so this march is credited to helping pass, this march Dr. King was in, the A. Philip Randolph had ignited, that had literally been passed in 1865, was literally set in place to pass after some 90 years. The Civil Rights Bill. Look, 1964, 99 years. 1964, right? The emancipation happened when? Emancipation happened in June 19th, 1865. Right? Here, this is past 99 years later, August, right? The 28th, 1963. Civil Rights Bill, or the Civil Rights Movement. The act is passed in 1964. The act is passed in 1964, the Civil Rights Act of 1964. It preceded what? Selma voting rights movement, when the national media coverage contributed to the passage of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Look, listen. You're supposed to be a citizen. You're supposed to be free, right? You're supposed to be emancipated from slavery. You're supposed to be free, right? You're supposed to be able to vote in 1865. But you don't get a voting right passed until 1965. You don't get a rights as a citizen until 1964. So you got 99 and 100 years later that you finally get the rights that these devils said that you had. Understand that, brothers and sisters. Peace, Sister D. We've been missing you. Been missing you. And so you have to understand that the whole thing is a political game. Now that I've said that and set foundation, because it took us some time to set that foundation, right? That's why I wanted the sister to come before you, because it took some time to set the foundation to tell you what we actually are. Listen, understand this, brothers and sisters. Excuse me. You will never get freedom begging for it. You'll get freedom acting out the promises of freedom. So I understand the civil rights movement as it's related as a rebellion, right? Because with any rebellion, you're going to get results, but you'll never get any results from civil disobedience. You understand what I'm saying? If you rebel, you'll get results, but you won't get any results from civil disobedience. You won't get it. Why? Because nothing civil has ever brought you anything. Is a white man civil when he goes into other countries, blowing them up, killing them, right? Is a white man civil when he's killing you and I, when they're shooting us down in the street? They've been doing it for years. Ever since you've been bought to slavery, this white man has been killing you. He's been killing you the entire time. The entire time. He's been doing the same thing. The man ain't changed. The man has literally not changed. You have to understand that. There have been no changes at all. No changes. So, brothers and sisters, this is what I'm trying to get you to understand. Is that the only time that you're going to get results, I'm saying this before I go on to say the other thing that I'm trying to say. The only thing that you and I can do to get real change is to fight and rebel against the system. Now, as the sister said, Sister D said, right? She said, we've been working overtime, right? Quite a bit. Glad to be here. We glad to know what our sister's been doing, right? But she said we need to be the game changer. We have to be. We have to be. You know, we've seen what our parents and foreparents have tried to do in the past. We've seen it. That's not going to work for us. It didn't work for them. It's not going to work for us. We got to understand that. It'll never work because it didn't work for them. If somebody's killing you, you can't pray for them. Somebody's shooting you down, you can't shake their hand. You can't embrace them, right? We're going to meet people. This is the lie that they told us. So we're going to meet their ability to hate, right, with our ability to love. This man ain't trying to hate you. He's trying to kill you, right? He don't care whether you love him or not. The only way that you're going to get the man off your back is to get him off your back. That's it. You can beg him to get off. You can plead with him to get off. The saddest thing in the world was to see George Floyd being killed in broad daylight, and not one person came over to help him. Not one person. They were taking pictures of this brother. Brothers and sisters, I'm trying to tell you how they trap us. They're taking pictures of this brother, but they were right there and could have saved his life, and they didn't do it. Right there. But wouldn't do it. Right? So here we've had George Floyd that died. They got the George Floyd bill. Has anything really happened? No. Are they still killing people? Yes. Well, they passed these laws. They've been passing these laws forever. They've been passing these laws. Still haven't done anything for you or I. But they've been passing these laws. So you got to understand that. Our sister said this is a generational curse. We need to stop this madness so that we do not leave this mess on our generations to come. That's true, Sister D. That's the truth. We've got to do something different, right? We have to, in so many instances, reinvent the wheel, right, of rebellion. Civil rights is not going to do anything for you, but rebellion will. So, brothers and sisters, and I believe that we've set enough groundwork to say what I want to say about Minister Farrakhan. Here he comes in 1995. Listen. 1995, 30 years after the, the Voting Rights Act was passed, which was passed in 1965, right? Farrakhan comes in 1995, 30 years later. In 29 years after the Civil Rights Bill had been passed, right? Here he is. Got to do another march on Washington. I ask you, who is in control? Who is in control? Still got us believing. My God. I don't believe I'm even saying this. Still got us believing that these laws are made for you and I. And we know better. We know better. So, brothers and sisters, that's the farce. The farce is to believe that the laws are working. This farce that Farrakhan, a known coon, coward, and traitor. Know what I'm saying? I never said anything I wasn't willing to risk my life for. Brothers and sisters, believe you me, I was trained under Dr. Khalid Muhammad as a FOI, so I know exactly what I'm saying. The man is still around. The man is still around. And that's how you know. After all of this time, you've been fighting and you have plans and working against these Jews and whatever else you're saying, you eat dinner with Jews, trying to explain to them why you feel the way you're feeling. Don't you know a real revolutionary ain't going to waste his time being with some Zionist enemy? He ain't going to waste his time. He ain't going to do it. But he took us all the way back. See, that's my frustration. Yeah, Khalid Muhammad was ready for a blood battle. A battle to shed blood. Brothers and sisters, the only time you and I are going to get peace. You think the brother's crazy? I'm not crazy. I just know the truth. I already know it. The white man knows it too. He's already killing you. He's killing you, and Al Sharpton and all the others and Louis Farrakhan's going around saying we're not the aggressor. Let the man know we ain't got no gun. Right? But if you come against us, we're going to defend ourselves. Shouldn't you be making peace with the gang leaders, the pimps, and black nationalists? So you can arrange and organize these armies for these people that's shooting us down? It's the questions that I have. I just have questions. That's all. Because you can't dupe me when I see us being killed. Can't do it. I don't even have time to run a show while I spend time talking about fake revolutionaries. I have, the minute it's been pointed out, then we have to go along to point out what we're going to do. And in every part of our discussion, we'll have to talk about what we're going to do and what's best for our community. What's best for our community. Point them out and keep moving. And build a national defense for black people. Because the minute that we get reparations, if we get it, I'm not going to debate that. But the minute that we do get it and build up our towns and get black financial institutions and get our own land, we're going to need an army, brothers and sisters, to protect it. If Tulsa, Oklahoma, and the other 122 businesses, the other 122 business districts to support the black stock market and black Wall Street, right, that had an additional 25 to 30,000 businesses, black businesses in America, had they had an army, you would still have these businesses. Had they had an army, they would have been able to defend their keep. All praises be to Allah, dear sister. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'd almost forgot. I get so involved, I be forgetting. Brothers and sisters, please donate. We need it. And we got the lights on a little longer, and all that's because of you all. I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm thankful. I'm thankful for it. And please do donate. Use the Cash App. That's the easiest way for us to get it. If we use the Cash App. But brothers and sisters, this is real. And God has called many of us out to sacrifice so that we could get this military organization off the ground. African American Defense League. You don't have to go through no bad laws or anything like that. You ain't got to do that. All you have to do is stand up and defend your family. Don't worry about the bylaws. I can send them to you, right? I can send you bylaws. Matter of fact, you can go on the link, the support link, and find all of the information that you need to find on that. If you want a book with the bylaws in them, so you can organize your own organization, the book is on the site. If you want a copy of a book, I'll give it to you for the African American Defense League. Right. I literally give it to you. You support the movement, please, by all means. But I will give you the rules. It's no different than the 10-point program. Huh? What we want, and the Muslims program of what we want. Right? No different. You got all of that in there. Then you got the restoration, a part of it that talks about restoring the black community. And all of that is in there. It's not hard for you to find because it's everything in the Organization for Afro-American Unity is everything in the African American Defense League. So anybody can join. Anybody black. You have to be black. Right? And I tell you to defend your family. If you're black and you don't defend your family in this late date, I'm sorry for you. Huh? Because I already know you're sick if you don't defend your family. You don't need anything except the oath to defend your family. That's all you need. So if you see trouble coming in somewhere, some white people shooting up black people, and you defend the community, that's your duty. It's your right. If I saw it, I would defend. I'm going to get my gun and I'm trying to kill that danger to our community. I want his life. I'm not going to turn him over to the police. He's dangerous. He's dangerous. You let him go, you'll kill again. So support us, brothers and sisters. We're out trying to put good information, good knowledge. Please do support us. We need your support. I can't say that enough. And I know many have given over and beyond. I would tell you to tell others about us and what we're doing so that they can support. Maybe if they know about the station, they'll start supporting us so we continue to get this out. Also, like, subscribe, and thumbs up. Please definitely do that and hit the bell so you'll get a notification of when we're coming on. But we will always be on at 7 o'clock. So we'll always be on at 7 o'clock. No mistake. Every night we get through this marathon, then we'll be meeting 3 times a week where we'll continue to be on this this teaching of knowledge to our brothers and sisters to keep you safe. Don't forget that we're supposed to be in Detroit the first week of August. My desire, my prayer is that we can do it. I told you I had a bad experience. I went to one meeting here recently, probably about a week ago or less. And I went there and I positioned myself. I spoke and everything. The brothers and sisters, the gentleman there didn't take care of me. So, I probably won't go. If he asked me to come to something else, I probably won't go if he's over it. I'll make sure that I have it before I leave. So I blame myself for that, and now I've learned. So I thank you all, brothers and sisters. Certainly thank you, Sister D, and all the pillars, Sister Donna and Brother Karim. And we're thankful for our invader that came. Tracy Burns, we thank Allah God for her too. While we would be foolish to think that there are not agents and troublemakers, provocateurs watching these shows just as we're watching. But nonetheless, I thank you and ask you to definitely bless us, please. And I encourage you to tell others about the show so that we can continue to put out this knowledge and information for things that we should know. Because we'll look like fools, right? Just pointing out the agents and not making moves. We got to make moves. We got to make moves, brothers and sisters. I will indeed, sister. And this is my email, sister, and anyone else that donate. This is my email. And when you do, just let me know. And I also on the Cash App, it also has something there where I can let you know, and I'll definitely let you all know through Cash App when I receive it as well. But I send you my email too, because you may want a book or something like that, and just let me know what book you want. If you go to the support link, it has those books in there and everything. And I've got several books. I've got books that I haven't added yet that I'm going to add that I've also written, and so I'm very excited. I've gotten almost finished to Malcolm Who Killed Minister Malcolm X and Why. Almost finished with 3 and 4. So we'll have all 4 volumes of those, and I'll deliver them to you through email and all of that. And brothers and sisters, I appreciate you for coming on this show, because I know they have other shows that are more enticing and everything. And right here, we teach knowledge. This is a truth hour. We teach knowledge. We don't perform tricks to get you on the show, but we want to tell you the truth. And we want to make sure that you're prepared, and with the guidance that was given to us by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and other leaders, Minister Malcolm X, the Honorable Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Sister Coretta King, Sister Betty X, all other leaders, Stokely Carmichael, that have come through to help us, and the Most Honorable Dr. Khalid Muhammad. So through that, we've had political understanding, we have civil understanding, and we have human understanding. And after that, we have to have a defense. So thank God for the Most Honorable Dr. Khalid Muhammad, who gave us the knowledge to build up self-defense units in the Black community and to defend ourselves and to stand like men and to defend ourselves like men. And so we'll continue to do that. Brothers and sisters, I've held you long enough. I appreciate you in so many ways. So many ways I appreciate you, and I know that God, only God, could send you here to do the things that you've been helping us do. And so I'm so thankful because we can't do it without you. And I want to thank you, because I know that people don't have to do anything for you. People don't have to do anything for you. So when they do it, I'm thankful. And you'll never find a brother or sister that's not as thankful as I am. So, I salute you. I salute you certainly in love, in peace. And thank you for suffering along with us as we put out the truth. And my desire, my prayer is that you would be safe and that you will love the ones that you're with, right? If you're beside someone and if they can handle it, because you can't, I'm not a fool. I know you can't mend all relationships. You may mend it, but the person may not want it to be mended, and everybody hasn't grown to the place where they can unite and show unity. But if you can mend their relationship with that Black person, you take every opportunity to let them know that you're standing with them in your everyday life. Hug and embrace them and let them know that you love them. If you can't love them close up, love them from afar. Love them a long ways off. But nonetheless, be willing to express that love. And that's the thing that I appreciate about us, is that we're loving people and we're able to have understanding and mend relationship. You may not be able to mend all of it, but just pray. And what you can't do, just pray and just give it to God, so that we could grow closer as an individual. Tell somebody you love them, brothers and sisters. That's what God has called us to do. That's how we know that we're God's. That's the way we know. They said, by love, all men should know that you are my disciples. And I love you, brothers and sisters. And I say unto you, as I salute, I say unto you, peace. Peace, brothers and sisters. Peace be unto you, and peace be unto us all. Peace be unto us all as we do the will of God right in our everyday life. May he watch and keep you in these times. Assalamu alaikum.